Hello and welcome to Sex and the Diversity. It's your host Divya and I have my friend Neeraja with me.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back. So the first thing I just wanted to say when I walked into your apartment was that you had 2 glass dildos on the table.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? Is this like interior?
So I was air drying them. I had just washed them in my bathroom. I don't wash them in the kitchen, but I don't have a countertop in my bathroom. If you live in New York, you know all about that. So I was air drying them on my table because glass dildos are actually like the best dildo.
Really?
And
So I've never used
don't talk about. They think rubber is ideal, and I don't know why. Like glass dildos, it slides in like butter. Like it's so smooth, and those ridges just hit right. Like I'm telling you, it feels so good.
And do you put like lube on it when you used to use it?
Not on a glass dildo.
Oh.
It just slides right in. I mean, you could. If you feel like you need lube, by all means use that. But a glass dildo, it just slides right in. It feels like butter. It's so smooth. It's so good. And those glass dildos are really special. They have all sorts of ridges. They are meant to, you could use it with another person, insert it, 2 people at the same time, or 2 holes at the same time.
Now I'm curious. No, I've never used a glass dildo.
Whatever it is, they're so good and they're just so smooth. And everyone's like, oh, aren't you scared it's going to break? I drop them all the time. They don't break.
Wait, what sex act are people doing where you're scared they're going to break? Like during sex? Or?
I thought that was I was like, yo, my pussy's tight, but it's not that tight. It's not breaking glass dildo. No, but they just think it'll drop and break, but I actually drop it all the time because, it gets slippery. I drop it all the time. It does not break. That is they designed that well.
People
think
think
not like a Tesla, which is badly designed. This is well designed.
No, because
it actually serves its purpose 100%.
So I've never used a dildo, and I feel that should change. But what I've used is just vibrators, like just the vibrations usually get me off.
Yes.
But I'm really curious now because.
So I used to have a giant rubber dick that vibrated, and I never inserted it. I just used the vibration part on my clit because it felt so good. But, that was too big, to be honest. I feel like with glass dildos, the person who designed it was really thinking about women like me. I'm not necessarily a size queen, even though I only attract big dick energy. I don't need the biggest dick up in me all the time. These are they're more textural. They have these ridges.
Right.
But they're so smooth and they just go in so nice and easy.
It's interesting because the design has the ridges, but it doesn't, when you see a dick,
curved.
No dick has ridges. So is it does it feel better than?
It feels so much better. It feels amazing. And even if you it feels amazing. That is, if you're a girl who's I will tell the truth, for most of my life, penetrative sex, I was doing it for the guy. I mostly get off from a guy going down on me or finger fucking or whatever. But this makes me want penetrative sex because it feels so fucking good. It makes me understand my pussy more.
Why it could penetrative sex?
Because I understand those spots because it goes in so smooth. It's when a man is pushing his dick in you, you're thinking about a lot of things. But when something that's kind of shaped like that and it's so smooth and it's curved and it has, and you can move it around kind of or turn it around.
Exactly
all of
the
a sudden
angles.
I'm okay, now I get it with this angle. And it's a little harder when it's attached to a person. It's still doable, but I definitely recommend glass dildos to help you on your sexual journey, understanding yourself.
Okay, so when growing up, sex toys were totally forbidden, taboo, didn't even talk about it or didn't understand anything about it. And it was funny because once I was on Amazon Prime and I was looking up, just like different sex toys, like I was looking up, like the vibrating dildos, and also there was something that I saw the ad that was like, this feels so good for your clit because it gives like suction, and it's just like
I've wanted to try that.
It's the cunnilingus, like it's like the clitoris stimulation.
I feel like I don't need suction because I'm too sensitive, but I'm curious.
It has two sides. So what I ended up ordering had two sides. It had one side that totally deals with your clit, and it's supposed to be like what it feels like to get head. And that's what it said. It's like, do you want to get the feeling of having head? Like this is the vibrator to get. And the other side had the suction, and they said, you can use the suction on your breasts to kind of like stimulate nipple play. So like it's suction on one side for your breasts, and then they have this other side that's supposed to be like somebody going down on you, and it's almost like it has like this little tongue, and it's like mechanical, and you can control how fast the tongue moves.
Oh shit, I need that. Oh my god, I didn't know it had a tongue. Because all I thought was, I was like, I don't really need my clit sucked. Like no, it's not. I don't want it sucked. I want it lit.
Yeah, so it's supposed to stimulate the motion of a tongue like licking your clit. So I use that side, and then I also use the suction on my clit. I actually like the suction part on my clit more because it was like a little bit stronger. I personally like that, but when the only like problem that I had with the tongue function was that I think a big part of it is like when somebody's going down on you and eating you out, like it just feels good because you hear the sounds, you have the visual of like a tongue and a mouth and a face. And when you just have like this machine, like using the up and down flicking motion, I don't know, it was like a robot was going down on you, so it wasn't like sexy. So I was like, I prefer, like, because I really like the sounds too. I really like sounds as well. Like I love when a guy is going down with you, you can like hear him really enjoying it, like slurping and moaning. And I love that. It's like hot to me. So it was just like a humming, and then it was just like,
oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
like
totally,
you feel it.
Yeah, so it's like sometimes you don't want it to be too real, and that's why a vibrator. So my only problem with vibrators is I feel I come too fast, and I'm like, I kind of like a buildup sometimes.
Oh, really? How long does it take you to come?
With a vibrator, like, I swear, like 20 seconds.
Wow.
Like, okay. And I'm like, no buildup. So actually, that's why I stopped using vibrators many years ago, and I just use my hand, because I'm like, I want the buildup. And even with the buildup, it's like a minute.
So how old were you when you started like masturbating?
Okay, so so I don't know if this counts, but I will say when I was like, I want to say 8 or 9, we moved into this house, and it had like this jacuzzi. It had like spa jets.
Oh yeah, the water spa jet.
And I like accidentally hit me, and I was like, wait. And I kept putting my pussy on it, and I remember. Like, I did that, and it felt good. And then I don't remember, at some point, I, like, had the orgasm. Like, I was doing...
you orgasmed.
I was doing it, and I didn't have it. It just felt great. So I was just doing it and doing it. And then one day, I don't remember exactly, but I was, like... I started feeling more, like, ramping up to orgasm, and I was like, well, let me back off. And then... Eventually, I just let it keep going, and I remember orgasming, and then I couldn't stop. I was, like, always in that thing. Like,
you were, like, addicted.
I was in there, like, 3 times a day. Like, I was always...
And nobody got suspicious. They were not like...
They thought...
It's like, Neeraja needs lots of baths.
You know what's funny? Like, apparently my whole life I've been, like, really water-oriented. Like, I've always been in the bathtub playing.
Okay, so nobody, like, thought anything weird.
Well, she's just went from the regular bathtub to that bathtub.
Right.
So, but you know what's interesting? I never used my hand. Like, I never once put my hand down there. I think that's a lot to do with shame or something. Like, I'm just thinking about that now. I'm like, I literally never used my hand to masturbate until I was in my 20s.
Did you get any lecture about that growing up? Like, this is what masturbation is. It's not good.
No,
don't touch yourself.
No one talked about it.
So where did the shame come from?
It was just a shame about my pussy. It was like a shame about my body.
Okay.
I didn't think I should touch it.
Okay.
and maybe I didn't think I should feel good, but I was feeling good these other ways. And then when I was kind of young, somehow I think it was like I grew up in a college town, and there was this performance of the vagina monologues, and someone took me there and they gave out free little clit vibrators.
What?
Like it was a little tiny thing with a batter. It was like old school. Like it had a external thing you could push for power, and I was using that on my clit. I didn't have to jump in the tub anymore.
So your parents, did they know that you were going to the vagina monologues? Were they okay with that? They were like, oh, it's artsy.
No, they didn't know. Oh, he's calling me. I'll just call him back.
Okay.
Sorry. No, they didn't know. But I got that, and I was fucking addicted to it. Oh my God. And it was battery powered. Like, you just changed the battery, and I was changing. And then one day it died. I think it died. I had it from like age 15 to 18.
Well, 3 years.
3 years. And I was using it like every second. I was addicted to it. And then when I was like 18, I had this boyfriend. He was like, I'm going to buy you a real sex toy. And he bought me my rubber dildo that was vibrating. And I used that. And this is a horrifying story about that, is that I was addicted to that too. And
you'd rather have that than like, because he was probably thinking he was trying to prep you for actual sex with him, right?
No, he just wanted to be part of my sex life. Like when I'm alone, he wanted to think.
Okay, so he wasn't like using it with you or like watching it.
He did use it with me sometimes. Okay. Yeah, he did. We did all kinds of freaky shit. He had a vibrating cock ring. Like we did all that. But I was using that all the time, and I was in my parents' house. Okay. And I was the only one using my shower because my brother had moved out. He was in college, and I left it in my bathroom because that's where I used it, in the shower, right? And then one weekend I went and I was staying with my boyfriend the whole weekend. Nobody uses my bathroom. That's my bathroom. But I came home and
oh my God,
my brother was home, and my parents told me that their bathroom stopped working. And so all three of those people were using my bathroom, where my dildo, my pink sparkly dildo was sitting in my shower.
It has sparkles.
It was sparkly, and it was sitting in my shower. That's next to the shampoo.
Oh, did they say anything?
No one said anything. That's a Brahmin family for you. We don't talk about it.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell. But they and it's facing the faucet, so it's not even like it was in the back. It was like in the front. And so that was like, actually, I told a bunch of friends about that, and they like remind me. They're like, "Remember when your family found your dildo?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Do you think they knew what it was? Like your parents knew what it was?
It's shaped like a dick.
I didn't know. Like maybe they're so innocent.
It's not like the glass dildo.
Yeah, maybe they're like a sculpture.
It's like not a beautiful artistic sculpture. It was shaped like a dick. It had veins.
Oh my god.
It was a veiny dick.
And yeah, that's really, I would just be so like ashamed, like walking down. I would be like cringe.
If people if anyone like, somehow listening who knew me when I was 20, if you saw me acting out a lot, that's just a drop in the bucket of like the shame and trauma I was going through. Is like, if you grew up in a Brahmin household, there's so much shame, and I can't even explain why. It's like they don't talk about sex. Right. But the shame is just, it's like in the air.
Yeah, like you feel like tension. Yeah, it's just like you don't want.
If you start wearing certain type of clothes, it's just in the air. Like, it's like, you know you're wrong, you know you fucked up, and you know you're disgusting. And that's like every sexual encounter is like, that's in the back of your mind.
Right, you're worried that you're doing something wrong and you're going to get caught and then you're going to get in trouble.
And the shame, it's the embarrassment. It's like, what if my mom knew? Like, what would my mom say? And I'm disappointing my mom. Like, it just comes down to that ultimately. So
it's hard to break through. I grew up really sheltered. I didn't know what masturbation was until when I was in school. Somebody wrote something on the wall, like jerking off, like some graffiti kind of like prank, I know, something like this teacher like loves jerking off, something, and I didn't know what it was. And I asked my parents, And they just did.
Honey.
I know, they were like, you need to look it up. And I didn't know.
They told you to look it up.
They told me to look it up. And I never really did because we didn't really talk about sex in general. Like even.
And when we were growing up, the internet was a little different.
It was, and I, like, even when we would watch shows like Friends, if there was a scene where people kissed, my parents would, like, run to the TV and, like, turn off the TV. They'd be like, this is filthy.
Serious?
Yeah, they would be like, this is filthy. I had a Babysitter's Club book, which is, like, the title is Marianne Gets a New Boyfriend, and they found that, and I thought I was being so bad and so, like, sneaky. I would go to the library and, like, just check out all these like Sweet Valley High Babysitters Clubs where it was like all about these teens like having sex, like doing drugs and partying. I was like,
teen books were fucking nasty.
I mean, it wasn't like pornographic, but it was definitely
I read
like
some teen books that were pornographic.
They were pretty much like
when they were describing pussy in great detail. I was like, oh, good.
No, like it was, but I felt I was always interested in this, and like even Jerry Springer, I would like watch it secretly.
Exactly.
I would hope I would get sick from school, and then I would
That was the best part of being sick.
And then I would like literally draw the blinds.
All those bitches getting pregnant.
Exactly. I would like literally draw the blinds, and then I would like, I thought I would get in trouble, and I was like, I'm going to watch this. I want to learn about sex, like from these shows. And it was so bad. And so I had no idea about masturbation, but what happened was I would read like these teen books, and then I would start like reading more and more risque things on the internet. And this is really embarrassing to admit, but I would just like read erotic, like fiction, like just like sexy fiction and like sex scenes. And that was like the scene that like just really turned me on. I was just like, oh my God, this is so hot. Like I remember, and this is again really embarrassing, there was this passage in The Notebook.
I actually fell asleep every time I tried to watch that movie.
No, I was reading the book, and there was like the scene where this.
Well, I definitely didn't read that.
Yeah, so because I wasn't allowed to like watch these things, so I would like read the book. And there was a scene where one of the characters starts like sucking on this girl's nipples, and it just like went into like detail about like feeling the passion and how much he loved it, and like he was just so turned on. And that just like got me super turned on. And then I was just like aroused, but I didn't know what that feeling was. I'm like, I just feel like really turned on.
But sexual energy, it feels so good on different levels.
Right. Like
it's not just sexual, it's actually creative energy.
Exactly.
Also.
It was, well, I don't think I was like turned on because I was like, Nicholas Sparks is a great writer.
Like, no.
Like his words.
Sexual energy and creative energy in terms of chakra is the same chakra.
I think so. Like, I think it's the divine,
so you're
like
sparking something that you just know it feels good. It feels inspiring. It feels like something you want more of.
Yeah, and I wanted more of it, and I got like addicted to reading like this erotic fiction. It was so bad.
And you were like 11?
No, I was in high school, which is really sad. I was 11. I was in high school, and I was like,
not sad.
I was staying up like all night. I was staying up like all night.
And there was this show called Undressed when we were in high school.
See, I didn't
on MTV.
I wish I saw that. Like,
and it was on late night, and it was all a sexual soap opera.
I wish I saw that because like I really liked the whole like a storyboard behind the sex. Like I never liked.
You would love that, and I think they have episodes for free on the internet.
I needed like that emotional kind of like that storyboard. Like it wasn't like just reading about people having sex. It was just like, oh, the sexy scenario. These people like were lusting after each other for like years, and finally they were able to have sex. And then
you like it like that. Undressed was more like there would be like one storyline of high school kids, one of college, and one of 20-something.
Okay, and they're different sex lives.
And you would just see like casual dating, but that really excited me too. Like it was like, okay, not everything needs to be a big love story. It could be like, I could just have this beautiful fling with someone.
I was dipping my toe into my sexual exploration. So when I was like young and filled with shame too, I justified it. I justified it. I was like,
because it's love.
Yeah, because I was like, it's love. That's okay. Yes. Like this is what we create a family.
We weren't.
It's like a shame thing.
Sex. And I can tell you something else. So it's like I was raised in this Brahmin household, but I had like sexual issues. And I told a gynecologist about it once when I was 15, and she told me, that just means you're not ready for sex. I told her
Really?
like my pussy clenched up and I was like, it was like painful to be penetrated. And that's all she said to me. And she was not Indian.
So like sex, it's almost like they're blaming you.
It was like the whole world was sex negative. And I'm telling this woman, I'm like reaching out to this woman as a child. I'm like, I'm
like something's
having
weird, like something wrong.
Partner. And I'm not able to figure it out. And God knows that dude wasn't gonna like figure it out. Like, so we were like 15, you don't know shit. And we didn't grow up with Google as it is now. Like, I didn't have anywhere to look. And I talked to a fucking doctor, and that's what they said to me.
This is why I want to do the podcast too, because like, I think a lot of people have similar stories. Like, even growing up with me, you know, and when growing up in my experience, when I had a doctor who was an Indian doctor, family friend too.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know it's fucked up. And I didn't have any other choice. Like, this was there was like only one doctor in the entire town. It wasn't like I had a family practice. You know, good doctors. No, don't get me wrong. But what happened was, this doctor was also like my mom's like super close friend. And they would go like walks. Yeah, they would go on walks every day. And then my mom would tell me like judgmental shit that this woman would tell her. She would be like, oh my gosh, so this doctor told me that she had this, you know, teenage girl come in asking for birth control. Like, what a slut. And like my mom would say, like, what a slut. Like, you know, just that's what she would be like, that's not what is her family. What is her family like?
That to scare you.
Well, I think it was her actual reaction. I don't think she was trying, like, she had an agenda. I think she was so like sex negative or looked down upon people who are just doing natural things. But that freaked me out. It did scare me.
And on another level, do you think maybe she was curious? She said it to her teenage daughter to ask, and maybe she thought maybe your reaction might be, all my friends are on birth control.
No, she did it in a very like judgmental, angry way. Like, look at these teens. No, she was just like, what is the society going to? When I grew up, like, nobody did this sort of stuff. It's American bad values that are going to be impacting like Indian kids.
And one time my mom found a bunch of condoms in my purse, which I got at like a free event or something.
Oh wow! What'd she react?
And she was like, you know, it's really dangerous to have sex, STDs, and I was like, that's what the condoms are for.
I know.
It's like, so they couldn't talk about it, but I will say one thing I've learned, like, doing a lot of trauma work is, like, it's really generational, and I don't know about your parents, but I'm realizing my parents are really sexually repressed themselves, and
oh, they definitely are.
They don't know anything, and they are only doing what they think is right. Like, one time my mom, like 2 years ago, she was like, she works at a university. She was like, we were taking a tour of the new science and math building, and everyone was joking that it was called the S&M building. And she was like, what does S&M mean?
Oh, so innocent.
Yeah, she's so innocent. And I told her the truth. I was like, I'm going to be what you never were to me. I'll tell you. I was like, it's a sexual thing.
I can't believe you sat her down. Did you just like, Mom, let me tell you this. It's a sexual thing.
I did. I was
very
like,
open.
Yeah, because you know what? I had to like do that for my mom because I realized maybe she grew up wondering things and never had anyone to talk to.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to give you back the shame you gave me.
That's really big of you. That's really big. You could be petty, but you were
I wouldn't. Like, my parents don't know shit. I can tell you that. Sexually, like, and that makes me feel sad.
Do you think they still have sex?
Like, I know they don't.
Okay.
I know
they have a dead bedroom.
I think they stopped having sex like 30 years ago.
Oh, that's such a long 3 decades. Can you imagine 30 years
I think
like
I
not
might
having
have been the last time they had
You've literally been having sex longer than they stopped having sex.
I'm not that old.
No, I'm just saying.
Come on. I've been alive longer, but I'm not.
No, I'm just. I haven't been. Could you imagine not having sex for?
Old.
No, I'm just. Can you imagine just like not having sex for 30 years?
And you know what? That's what I've been doing a lot of trauma work because I do have certain sexual trauma myself, and while I thought it all related back to like some sexually traumatic incidents, I realized it's also really related to just how I was raised in that household where I couldn't talk about anything. I couldn't ask about anything. If something bad happened to me, I had nowhere to go.
So did you talk to your friends? Did you?
I talked to my friends, but they didn't know shit. I grew up in an all Indian and Asian town.
Right. Okay.
The shame was like so.
It's crazy because at least you were taking matters to your own hands. Like, so my friend, she was my roommate too, and she told me that she was going to a wedding of her cousins. Her cousin was 25, getting married, and then she said that her cousin sat her down one day and told her she and also the cousins' groups of friends had never had an orgasm, and they were literally talking like
Wait, how old were they?
25, 26.
But how?
They've literally never had orgasm. They were getting
fucking
drunk. No, they got drunk and they were all like engaged with Indian guys, like, you know, and they had.
Where's the wine?
I don't know.
You got rid of the wine from the photo?
No, I thought we were drinking it, so I didn't want to like. Okay. Anyways, she literally was saying that those people, like those girls, like they've been with their boyfriends. It's like maybe they've only had maybe one or two partners in their entire lives, and they got married.
Go down on them.
They just never had orgasms. I like wasn't there, so I couldn't like grill them. I couldn't be like, so what was he doing? Like, was he fucking you from the behind?
But
was he like eating you out?
They should have been grilling each other. That's the crazy.
They've literally never had an orgasm.
That they don't even know how to talk about it.
So they're getting married, and they've literally never come. And they were just like, but they just expected. It's like marriage is the next step in our like life journey. We're gonna be with this partner for life. We built this life together. We're both like career people. You know, we have like common friends.
In the early 2000s? Because that was like such an ugly time in history.
No, it wasn't in the early 2000s.
Everyone was so career oriented, and now we're all just like, fuck work.
You'd be surprised like how many people like you're not exposed to like what good sex feels like, or you know, just being sexual. Like you'll repress that. It's like, imagine if you never had like, you know, a brownie. You'll just be like, oh, I've heard about brownies, like whatever.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't.
You would never like.
Probably never. You wouldn't crave a brownie.
You wouldn't crave it. You would never be like, this is the best brownie I've ever eaten.
You don't crave orgasms. That's true.
I crave orgasms.
Well, now that we know, it's true. Before you've had it, you don't. But don't you ever just want to
experience it?
Someone touch you down there.
I mean,
Before I was ever exposed to orgasms, I liked how it felt.
So did you
up against
I have a question. Did you have like, was your first sexual experience before you had an orgasm? Like, did you made yourself
orgasms way before?
Okay, that's good.
And it's good, but I've also been thinking that one way it might be bad is that a lot of my sexuality is by myself, and I had trouble connecting with others.
Interesting.
And sometimes even letting them in. Like, so when I was always like, okay, they can give me head and I'll come, and then I'm doing penetrative sex for them, I wouldn't even like try to enjoy it. And
you just wanted to get off, and you were like,
I wouldn't try to enjoy the penetrative sex, even though it was for them. And I'm like, you know, maybe I can be getting off on all of it. And I didn't, because I had so internalized what my sex life was, which was by myself. And I know how to make myself come. And then I know how to make these guys make me come, but I never tried this other way that honestly in my 30s I'm exploring now.
So it was kind of like masturbation plus, like you were using these guys as masturbation like tools.
Because I was using masturbation as my jumping off point.
Right.
Like that was my main sexuality. Like because I had that, but then I had a lot of sexual experience when I was younger that was sort of traumatizing for a plethora of reasons. And so then I was like, you know, when I'm by myself, it's great.
Right, because you're also in control.
I'm in control. And now I'm kind of like more better at finding people who understand me. It's more about how I communicate.
Yeah.
And you have to get over so much shame to communicate that. So while I think masturbation and orgasming is so good, it's so important, I also hope I do think like younger people might be more okay with just masturbating like a lot. And I don't know, they're probably fine. I don't know. But I'm just saying like, you know.